My name is Mark Hughes, and I'm going to be in a production called The Human Library. The Human Library is basically it's like an exhibit of people who come from various walks of life, who all have somewhat of a unique perspective or story. And the purpose of it is for people to come in and to get to know, for 20 minutes, someone they might not otherwise meet in day-to-day life. And it's just, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's basically to break down the walls of otherness. There's many different books in the library, and there's ranging from people stories that I've just overheard, like people who are raised by polygamists, transgendered people, drag kings, and then there's me, and the title of my book is Tragedy plus Time Served equals Comedy. To help me feel less anxious or self-conscious about my own life, to humanize both each other, basically, because sometimes with my story, sometimes when someone who I deem as normal comes into my proximity, I'm more scared of them than they are of me. Whereas when you hear some of my story, I'm the one who's supposed to be the scary one on paper. And that's the thing I like about this, is the Human Library helps no one be scared of anyone. When I was 15 years old, I ended up on the downtown east side, addicted to intravenous heroin and cocaine. I committed a lot of crime to support my habit, and pretty well from the ages of 15 to 27, I was in and out of prison. The only life I knew was drug addiction, streets, and the criminal justice system. And because I was such a lost kid, I took to it like a fish to water, because it was the only thing that I ever knew and understood and felt safe and secure doing. I was quite happy living this life for a long time. When I was about 21, I got sentenced to 8 years in prison for a very elaborate and violent crime spree, which consisted of a bunch of convenience store robberies and break-ins and things like that. And it was in there that I decided that I wanted to change my life, because I didn't know anything, and I was getting tired of not knowing anything anymore, any normal life. I'd never done anything that most people would consider day to day. I'd never had a driver's license. I'd never had a girlfriend. I'd never gone on a date. I'd never paid a phone bill. I'd lost all touch with things that most people just take for granted, in other words. So I decided to go straight, got clean off of drugs, got out, tried living the straight life, but I was so institutionalized and so used to that life, I didn't know what I was doing. So after a few months, I ended up robbing a bank to end up getting sent back. But when I got back, I wasn't really that pleased with going back, and I just entered this sort of really depressing limbo. I ended up getting a parole to a treatment center, and that's where my new life as it stands now began. And I've been clean and sober for 9 years. I've been out of prison for 8, and after a number of years trying to reintegrate and get my land legs, as it were, back and learn how to be a civilian, learn how to pay a phone bill, learn how to go on a date, learn how to drive a car that I don't start with a screwdriver, I decided my life got kind of boring, because I was doing everything that you're supposed to do, but there was no excitement. There was nothing like, if you remove robbing banks from the equation, life's kind of boring, right? So someone suggested to me that I find a creative outlet, and I decided to do comedy. So for the last few years, I've been doing comedy about not only my life, but I do highlight my life, and I talk about it on stage and tell people, joke around about stealing cars and doing heroin and being in prison and stuff like that. And it's really helped me to connect with people and feel that my life wasn't all for naught. Like it served a purpose, and now I can actually be productive and contribute with it and have some fun. And rather than rob a bank, I just make a room full of people laugh. So come on down to the Human Library, which is part of the PuSh Festival. It'll be at the Vancouver Public Library branch, January 23rd, 24th, January 30th and 31st, and February 6th and 7th.